Bop. Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Bryan, your host for today. Top 5 movies that need a trigger warning. Top 5 movies that should have had a trigger warning. Movies these days are coming with trigger warnings, and made me think, hey, there's a lot of movies in our past that would have been nice to have that heads up. Like, hey, if this triggers you, be aware. And
Just for the record.
You're shaking your head.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head. Just for the record, I do not believe in trigger warnings because I'm not in need of them. So I guess it's kind of a selfish move on my part. But I like to be jarred. I like to be shaken. I like the unexpected. I like to discover things as I'm watching movies. I don't want to go into a movie knowing that there's going to be some skull crushing, or even though we do our fair share over here of letting people know what they're getting into. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to live in a world where every single thing is like, oh, there might be some tobacco use in this one. Be careful. It's just, we live, it's a bit too much. So it's a fun exercise. It'll be a fun little episode, I think. But you know what I mean?
I feel like this is revealing a bit of a lack of empathy on your part, because the trigger they're warning you about is if you've endured some trauma, maybe around sexual assault, and this movie will trigger you for what has been done to you.
Slippery slope, though, as they say, Bryan.
Indeed.
It's like everyone has been traumatized about one thing or another. And if we, like, let's say this was real and like, we actually had some power in this and we were like part of the NPA or something, and we're kind of demanding this. What's up, every nice of you to join us? Jesus Christ.
Oh, we should pitch the MPAA on this.
Street sweeping. How to deal with it.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. LA is a whole thing when you got to deal with streets.
Goddamn man, keeping you down.
$74 is what it would cost you if you did not move that car, Aver.
They're trying. They're fucking trying.
Well done. Okay, so yeah, if we get to a place where they are, because what would happen is, we'd have some real ones like what you're saying with sexual abuse and whatnot, and unless you're going to see the accused, you might not know about some kind of sexual trauma abuse that's going to be portrayed in a movie. But then you're gonna have people coming out going like, well, this movie has cats in it, and I got attacked by a cat when I was 5, and I feel like this should be, you know what I mean? Like, we just gotta be careful. And yeah, maybe it does.
That's valid. That's
my number 5 is the musical Cats.
Maybe it's. Have you seen that?
No, that would be a good watch along.
That came up at the barbecue I was at over the weekend, where apparently my buddy Scott, who you've met, the man who thinks that Ben Affleck is the more talented one, he was obsessed with it as a child, and he would sing along to clips. And I don't know if I'll text him again. I don't know if I'm ever going to text him again.
I'm not a big musical theater fan, but the music is lovely, I suppose. I think the movie is more problematic.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can do it.
So yeah, I might be coming off a little insensitive, and I get that. But maybe there's a world where there's a parent guide on IMDb, and it's like like a trigger guide. Like, hey, if any of
I
these
can see that
trigger you. And yeah, so my list, a couple of them are pretty personal. Like I would have appreciated a warning. A couple of them are just kind of fun. A couple of them are recent. It'll be good.
You were very, you know what? This just came to mind as you said that, very personal. You were very triggered for honestly good reason when I foolishly assigned you the Glenn Campbell documentary in the wake of your father's passing. Would that have not required, but would that have been an appropriate trigger warning for you?
I don't think so, because you know exactly what you're getting into, right? Like, it's not. What I tried to go with is, and I think the way to go about this list is like movies that you think of are one thing, but then there might be a scene in there that has this where it's like, oh, or maybe an entire act where it's like, that's disappointing. That's very disappointing. I would have liked to. I've watched a couple long form docu series in the last couple weeks with the wife. One of which is called Taken Together, which was phenomenal. It was really, really good until it just was frustrating and upsetting. Another one was produced by Ridley Scott, and it was about a girl who went missing in a small town,
in outer space,
Nebraska. Missy went missing, right? And it's a cold case, and I spent, I don't know, 3-4 hours watching what happened to Missy, and long story short, we don't find out what happened to Missy, and it's very, very frustrating. So I feel like those things, there should be
where I am 100% with you.
No resolution with this one, so just go in knowing that there's not going to be a resolution.
All true crimes, it should be mandatory that they have to tell you ahead of time if you find out what happened.
Yes,
if
resolution.
You don't, fuck off. Or nay.
Warning, you're about to submit 4 hours of your life to this show that will end up in, and essentially a tie game. It will.
You know what's funny
Will know
is-
as much going in, leaving this program as you will going in.
Foolishly, as a younger man, one of my gripes with Zodiac by David Fincher was just that.
Almost on my list, Brian.
There's no
Almost on my list.
resolution. But then
No
I was
resolution.
like, you know what? That's kind of the beauty of it. I've grown. I've grown into Zodiac.
Well, also
It's great. I'm high on Zodiac.
If you know anything about the Zodiac Killer going in, you're gonna know, unless they Tarantino'd it and give it some kind of alternate revisionist history. But no, you should have an idea. That said, I didn't have an idea because I wasn't up to date with the old Zodiac over there. So I was like, I can't wait to see this guy's face. And I was like, credits are only maybe there's a post-credit scene where we see his face. What's going on?
They still imply pretty heavily. I feel like that gets glossed over by a lot of people, that at the end they basically go, look, we're not sure, but 90% it's this guy that you saw already. This is our theory. So while they don't say 100%, I feel like people want to act like they go, who the fuck knows, and just shrug, where they go, this is my best guess.
It's heavily implied. Plus, in real life, we don't know. I mean, it's also heavily implied, but never been solved.
Mm-hmm.
FYI. Anyway, I would like to hear what the people have seen.
I was going to say, I'm assuming the show has started.
Any business?
Oh
yeah, this is all pre-show talk. Any business, or can we get into what the people have seen?
You know what? This list might have some crossover, but a fella who shall go unnamed because he did not pay to have such an honor, but he did float this my way, and I thought it was a pretty good idea. Kids horror movies, top 5 kids horror movies. What do you think about that?
Kids or like kid friendly?
Kid friendly.
I mean? Okay.
I mean, he didn't specify, and like I said, he's not at the level where you would.
So not Children of the Corn, like
No.
Charlie Brown Great Pumpkin, although that's not Halloween as much.
Yeah, like
That's not horror.
horror
Everybody's
movies
still
that-
warming up.
that you could watch with your
Yeah.
kids.
I mean, Children of the
like
Corn
that.
was
I
on.
like that. That's a good. That's a good one for upcoming on Halloween.
Now I can't speak for you, but I might have at least one crossover that could be on this list that would be on that list.
Oh my!
I don't know if it's unless it's an oh my, but that is the case.
Would
you
Strange
have any-
Darling make your list?
Not really for children. I
You sure?
can't imagine children enjoying that movie. No,
Do you have any documentaries on this list?
no, I do not. We still
Well,
have top
you're in
5
luck.
random things you've learned from movies, Brian. Come on.
I'm still making my list.
Jesus. You know what? I'm just gonna pull the trigger here. 2 weeks from now, we're doing it. 2 weeks.
I'm already up to 3. I've been mulling it over, and I got more than Bri.
2 weeks from this here program.
Oof, gotta get to work.
Next week is top 5 summer recap, right?
That's
of-
right.
And then a week after that, we will be doing a top 5 random things you've learned from movies, which is a good one.
Rando. All right, Avery. What have the people seen?
All right, time for a
We'll be
little
doing that for-
fanfliction.
All right, we'll be doing that for Jake Warner. And while I'm at it, hey, I might as well. As above, so below will be watched by us for Danny Leffler next week. As above, so below, 2014 movie. We'll be watching that for Danny Leffler.
As above, so below.
All right.
Got a red
Fanfliction. Compiled by Mike Cole, Dale Pig on Facebook. Saw Strange Darling. Takes a lot of big swings, not only in regards to the storytelling, but also with the soundtrack and the score, and knocks them all out of the park. Couldn't help but feeling early career Tarantino and early Lynch vibes from it, but still very much its own thing. Towards the end, I was debating whether I would rate this at 4.5 or 5 stars, and then came that stunning, unforgettable final shot. 5 stars. P.S. This movie has a lot of things that will stick with you, but I will never again see Mr. Snuffleupagus or Scott Baio and not think about this movie. With this and Dinner in America, does this mean that Kyle Gallner is now Anderson's favorite actor?
Well, you got to watch a guy like Kyle because obviously he picks projects that I respond to. So, it's not always the director or writer that you should be paying attention to. Sometimes there's actors out there that have similar taste and only sign on to projects that you will respond to.
And I think you see a little sweet threesome Andy in Kyle. I think there's a little sweet threesome Andy in him.
Nah, he's more. I mean, he's more rifleman. He's more of a hunter than I ever was. Maybe. I definitely
Dinner in America. Dinner in America.
Yeah. Dinner in America. I definitely related to that character quite a bit. Yes.
No Owl 255 on Reddit, based solely on Anderson's review. I saw Strange Darling. It was fine. For every one choice in the movie I found clever, I found another to be pretentious or annoying, so it all balanced out into a 3-star film.
Hey, it's not
Also,
for everybody.
Brian will definitely be thoroughly confused by this film. In addition to it being told out of order, one character wears a wig in some scenes, so it's doubly confounding.
Doubly
I can only imagine.
It's a puzzle of a movie, and I love puzzle movies. And Elephant, I think, is maybe one of the greatest examples of the puzzle movie where you're trying to piece things together, because it's Elephant's not so much told out of order. It just goes back and does different POVs. I did with groupers. I had a lot of fun puzzling things together where that doesn't make sense, but it will later when you see it from this point of view type thing.
Our very own Florence Brummer on Facebook, Afraid, starring past TFV guest John Cho. Words cannot express how much this movie sucked. I have the feeling it was meant to be a sci-fi movie about the dangers of AI, but it wasn't coming together, so a few horror-like scenes were shoehorned in. Blumhouse movies used to be an event for me, and now I feel like they will slap their name on anything. This movie played like the shittiest Black Mirror episode ever. Not even Soup could save this movie. That is damning. That is damning.
Don't put that on the poster.
I know exactly what happens in that movie all the way through. I don't know what she looks like. Would you like to see what I look like? Oh, that was creepy. I gotta hand it to the filmmakers over there. That scene that we see in the trailer was very creepy. God knows what she looks like, and I don't quite understand the creature at the window there. But as far as how it resolves, I'm pretty sure I have a good idea because they show us.
It seemed ungood. Eric Holmes on Facebook, The Wasp. A woman reconnects with a childhood friend to help her kill her husband. Things go bad, but not in a way you might expect. There's a tiny bit at the end which doesn't quite work, but the rest of it is so aces, so I could easily forgive it. Don't watch it with your significant other. It could give them ideas. I will be sending this to Christy. Brian McCulley on Facebook, Sing Sing. Only a couple
Brian.
theaters in San Diego were playing it, so I had to trek a bit, but it was worth it. Great acting and story, but I wish the cinematography had been a little bit better. Still, one of the best new movies I've seen this year. Also, the director, Greg Quidar, has another movie called Transpecos, and that's a short and sweet thriller. Just under 90 minutes and worth the watch.
All right.
Hey, I'd like to reiterate here that something's going on bad with Sing Sing because of the revenue sharing that they have, which is very rare for a big movie with big, even though there's only one big star in this one, as far as I can tell. But everyone who worked on this movie gets a piece of the money that comes in the box office, and I have to think that that's one of the reasons why they're burying this Academy darling. This is definitely awards bait, right? And
Feels like, yeah.
So I'm hoping that it busts through, later in the year and gets a proper release. But right now it seems like somebody's like, we'll show in a couple theaters. You guys can have your
they're throttling it.
Because it does feel like the movie that would be out at Thanksgiving, and all your relatives are going, "Isn't this nice? It was prison, but it was heartwarming."
Instead, it was competing with Deadpool.
Weird.
Yeah.
Mistake.
Yeah.
Very different.
Deadpool versus Divine Eye.
Edward Pretty on Facebook. Time Bandits reboot on Apple Plus. Sigh. The original movie, How I Hate Writing That, is one of my all-time favorites. Loved it as a kid. Love it as an adult. I also really like Taika Waititi's output, even his weaker projects. I'm still not sure how I feel about this. It has some bright spots, such as the kid that plays Kevin. He's fantastic. Additionally, there's some positive plot adjustments, including an addition of a sister, which worked. The rest, I don't know. The original movie, being 2 hours, has a sense of urgency as they're being chased through time by God and the devil, after all. This new series consists of 10 45-minute episodes, and each episode feels very location of the week. Some plot lines are wrapped up with a groan, and several are left for a second season that I'm not sure we're going to see. The movie lacks a sense of danger. Wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it's just kind of unnecessary.
You refer to it as a movie, or this is a series, yeah?
Yes, 10 45-minute episodes. That is a shit ton of time.
Never referred to it as a movie. He was calling back to the original that it's based on.
Oh, I see. It's called Time Bandits, but it should be called Time. I'm going to leave it right where it is. There's plenty.
Brian.
They're not stealing time.
They're stealing your time by having you watch.
Oh, that's a good point.
A couple things about that. First of all, Time Bandits, the original. Brian, you have not seen?
No.
You're a fool.
I have seen Minotaur is great.
So great. I watched it with the boy not too long ago. This is a movie that I grew up with loving, and one of the feathers in the cap of that movie is it was the largest cast of little people I think still to date. Like they use so many little people. So more on that in a second. I brain. Okay, well I'll just skip to Time Bandits. Oh, great! One of the greatest trailers you'll ever see. I think that when we did best trailers, I think that might have cracked my top 5. God, it's fun. Very meta. A lot of fun. Watch that Time Bandits, the original Time Bandits trailer. I did a thing a couple nights ago, actually, probably 4 or 5 nights ago. Jillian had stepped out. She came back in, and Time Bandits, this new one on Apple TV, was already playing. And she goes, "What's going on?"
Oh.
And sometimes I can get her to bite that way, right? And she saw the title come up, and
What's going on?
where's the remote?
What is this? What is this?
Where's the remote? And I'm like, the remote's right there. And she actually reached for the remote, and she swiftly turned it off. And I said, well, we can't even give it a shot. And she goes, and Jillian's very, very tied into the old social media and what people are bitching about in the moment. And evidently, and I'm on her side and everyone's side. Evidently, the little people were quite upset because they did not use any real little people in this production. And it's very strange to go from a source material that has bragging rights to be one of the largest, if not the largest cast ever of little people to here we are all these years later, and they're like, let's reboot it with no little people, just long run times. So did not get watched by me.
Adam Kaplan on Facebook. Lastly, this post is probably too late, but Chimp Crazy is crazy compelling. Oh, I need to see this. God damn it. The narcissism of Tanya Haddix, the docuseries main subject, is out of this world. I almost wish this was released on Netflix and not Max because I really want to binge every episode immediately, or wanted to.
Well, if you haven't seen it yet, the last episode's coming up next Sunday. And a quick
Oh, so it's not even all out yet then. I assumed it was
4 episodes total. 3 of them are out. And they were doing a great job of kind of letting us in her brain and kind of seeing where she was coming from and her motivation and almost empathizing with her. And I was actually to an extent. And that is all completely out the window after this last episode. She can fuck herself hard, Tanya.
I need to see this. I must see. I must see.
You will be riveted. But the last episode was the saddest one, I think. So, the story of Buck. Oh, Buck. Okay. You need to do a headshot. You gotta do a headshot. Fuck you, bitch. That's not Tanya. That's somebody else. But yeah, these ladies, they're all ladies too.
I'm going to try to watch this on a date. Is that a mistake? Is that a mistake? Do you invite a girl to watch this?
I mean, over at your house, it doesn't put you in the mood.
What if she's the documentarian? What about that?
It's good documentarian.
Yeah. There we go.
It'll be rife with conversations. He has a proxy director in there because he's too well known and people would see right through what he was doing coming from the Tiger King. So he hired an actor to play a fake director.
I love that. Is it the Safdie brother? Because that would be he would direct it. That character would love this.
What from The Curse?
Yes, from The Curse.
Oh, he would be great.
He would love some chimp
I want
action.
that character to be alive and real, and I want to have him on the show.
Oh, I'd love to ask him for his autograph. Just because he'd love it, and he'd probably wouldn't even give it to you.
He probably wouldn't. He'd be like, "I'm busy right now on his phone. Yeah, I'll get to you in a second. I'm working on something right now, pitching some ideas." Oh, I missed The Curse. The Curse.
It's great.
Okay, sorry. The Curse.
Should we talk movies?
The most uncomfortable humor you could imagine.
No one saw Reagan.
Who would see Reagan?
I don't even think the critics saw Reagan. There's like 40 reviews.
And we're going to find out later.
Oh, we'll find out. Save.
Kind of hoping someone assigns us.
What? You want to see Reagan? Glowing portrayal.
Morbid curiosity.
I gave you a choice last week.
It's very fawning.
All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about what we saw.
What do you want to talk about? What are you going to talk about? We got a rare assignment from our producer here. You want to talk about that?
No, we're not going to lead with Andor. What are you doing?
Why not?
Well, we'll lead with the biggest and the sexiest, the closest that we have to that. So what is that?
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
Did you see Strange Darling yet, Brian?
You guys talk about Strange Darling, the two of you.
Strange Darling was seen by me. 2024 film written and directed by J.T. Molnar. starring Willa Fitzgerald, Kyle Gallner, Ed Begley Jr., and Barbara Hershey. Yes, after Anderson raved about Strange Darling, I thought, well, it's not enshrined in Film Vault canon until we both see it. 96% of Rotten Tomatoes in theaters now. It's okay. Next.
Such a great joke you do. It was really fun.
Pancakes.
We all love it.
Very fun movie. Very fun. I don't know if I want to call it a twist or a reveal. Either way, this is the kind of movie that you want to know as little about as possible going into it. I felt very naked going in. It was great. I will agree with you, Anderson. Bad title. Don't know why it wasn't Mr. Snuffleupagus or any number of titles.
Mr. Snuffleupagus would have been sweet. I wonder if they would have maybe a copyright issue.
Yeah, maybe. It is told like
Ernie here. We'd appreciate you not associating Sesame Street with such vile filmmaking. Thank you.
Ernie Burt et al. Versus the filmmakers. This is told in 6 non-sequential chapters, and yes, it was confusing to me. And yes, that is a joke. What is not a joke, sadly, ever you saw this?
Yeah, I saw this.
What is not a joke, sadly, is I was a little bit confused by the character who was wearing a wig. I'm like, wait, is that the thing?
Oh my God, right.
There's only one young woman in the whole fucking movie.
I didn't know
like
that.
6 people in the entire movie.
Okay, I didn't know that. And when the character with the different hair was revealed, I'm like, is that the same person we just saw?
Christ.
I figured it out, and it worked out well.
Did you figure it out when said character took the wig off and you went, oh?
Yeah, it wasn't until it wasn't until an hour and 20 minutes into this hour and 30-minute movie.
Just to be clear, Bryan is not doing a bit.
I really was initially. I was like, wait, different person, same person?
She's a very defined. Did you think it was the same actress playing a different character?
To be, I figured it out pretty quickly, but initially the character is shown in how do I say this delicately? Very different circumstances, and also very different lighting. Giovanni Ribisi, noted as the cinematographer, really plays with a light in this movie more than anything, and you get a lot of extended shots that are heavily filtered, and one is very blue and one will be broad daylight. So initially, yes, I was like, I couldn't quite, my eyes couldn't tell. I'm like, I think it's the same person, but it was neither here nor there because within
Bryan, you're
15 minutes.
A couple years away from leaning over, being the old guy in the theater.
No, stop it.
Is that the same person?
Stop it.
Close.
I would tweet it.
Jess is never going to watch a movie with you again at that point.
Yeah. Speaking of which, footnotes to that, we got Beetlejuice coming out this weekend, and she is excited, but it is PG-13. I'm wondering, I feel like I got to see it first to scout it.
Why don't you parent review it? Parent guide it.
Oh, parent guide it?
Yeah. We just, has she seen the first one?
Yeah, she loves it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine has more teeth than that one.
Yeah, it's not going to be a wild diversion.
Addie had already seen Beetlejuice, but we watched it over the weekend to avoid some of the heat that was crushing our dreams, and it went down smooth again. And the end is a lot, though. There's a lot of corny, bad effects in it as well, but it's all forgiven because it's so goddamn real, original.
Yes, the practicals are great. Back to Strange Darling. To your point from last week, Anderson, I can see this getting shut out of the Oscars completely. That said, a nomination for Best Original Screenplay would be warranted because it is it's inspired.
Cinematography, and she could be up for Best Acting. She was great.
In a just world. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but I do think that it maybe gets shut out. Who knows, though? I mean, Scientology is still fairly powerful.
Oh, they're going that angle. Interesting.
Well,
yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this very much. I feel like being delicate here, I kind of sense the twist / reveal, but it still worked.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the storytelling.
Let's do a mini spoiler on this.
No.
Yeah, because I was underwhelmed
With the whole movie.
I was blown away by her acting and the cinematography, but I figured out
All
where
right.
it was going pretty early on. And I had that thing where if you do that, sometimes where you're sitting there waiting for it to happen, where you're like, I know where this is going. Go there, go there, go there. Yes, go there, go there, go there. And had trouble with that.
All right. I feel like we've said too much. Let's talk more about this. What happened, Brian? Brian, your microphone is not working.
It's not. Check.
There he is.
Oh, sorry. I didn't do anything.
I think you were so far away from it. It's like, fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
You were
We should
literally
switch
leaning back.
We should get the road board to start doing that to him.
That's right.
No, I think there's going to be ongoing problems because I do hear it cutting out. So that could be problematic.
Oh, apologies. I didn't touch any settings.
Oh, yeah, he's cutting out.
Yeah, you're good.
Bad news. Bad news. Anderson, is that you?
It's not. All right, let's move on. Yeah.
All right, enjoyed Strange Darling. Very. So I always feel like I come up against this at the end of the year, the end of the summer. That is, does my summer recap just involve summer movies? I'm making air quotes here, or is it any movie I saw during the summer? Because Strange Darling is certainly one of the 5 best I saw. Is it a summer movie?
Yeah, I mean, it came out during the summer.
I know
It doesn't
you know
have to
what
be.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the
Sing a summer
spirit of.
All right, let's move on to a gem of a movie that
real quick. That being said, I would still recommend, if you're listening to this and you're a movie fan, go out and see this movie, make your own decision, and see this in a theater, because there's a lot more darkly comedic elements than I was expecting, and those played big in my theater, and those were very enjoyable. Hearing people
Hershey.
react to it, very, very enjoyable.
Ed Begley Jr. and Barbara Hershey were also great. And there's a lot of levity.
Top 5 breakfast scenes for sure.
Top 5 indulgent meals. They kept making that breakfast. I'm like, what else is going on?
What was going on with the stuff that was being broadcast outside the house? I never.
Yeah, that was weird. I never.
It must come from
paid
something.
off.
That must.
You know what? I'm an asshole. I think if I saw this again, I would like it more. I think I was very caught up in trying to follow it and having like a Big Lebowski moment. I think on second viewing, knowing what I know, I would enjoy it more.
I like
And
that
I think it's
everybody's
probably
already pre-flick-festing his second viewing.
There's probably some more funny stuff in there too that we all missed. So I would like to see this again in the theaters. I don't know if I'll get a chance, but Avery's absolutely right. This is a movie that sings in the theaters, and it might not seem that way because it's not a big robot blockbuster. But this movie, I think, just the score alone really drives home. Unless you have a great sound system at home, that score it gets swung for the fences, like the listener said, and it connects to me.
All right, what is
Also, remind me when we do the spoiler about that score and something very, very clever that I picked up on that I don't know if it was that apparent, but I would like to talk about that. Okay.
I will not. What did you want to talk about?
Okay, I went back and watched a movie because there was nothing big and sexy that I had to see other than Reagan, which I did not have to see. So I went and watched a movie.
Neither big nor sexy
from yesteryear, which this is more akin to how I would spend my time watching movies, I think, weekly if it was not for this show. And I'm going to do my darndest to try and carve out time here. I guess maybe on the weeks where Brian doesn't win, and I can watch something on my own if there's not. Regardless,
that ain't this week, buddy. I'll tell you that.
Far between, buddy.
I saw a movie called Scarecrow from 1973, starring Al Pacino and Gene Hackman. Now, this is a movie that I was somewhat familiar with, but had never taken the leap. I thought that it was some kind of heist movie, knew very little about it, and that's a goddamn crime. I heard my boy Billy Rednuts talking about it, Billy Burr, a few weeks ago. He goes back and he loves to watch the old TV shows and old movies, and he brought up Scarecrow. I'm like, you know what? Damn it, it's time that I watch this Scarecrow. So Scarecrow is a 1973 movie directed by a man named Jerry
M. Night Shyamalan.
Jerry Schatzberg, written by Gary Michael White. And this movie is very, very similar to one of my favorite of all time, which is Midnight Cowboy. The movie is Gene Hackman and Al Pacino. Al Pacino plays Lion, and Gene Hackman plays Max. And it opens up on a lonely, dusty road where Pacino's character, who's very young and spry, and he's got like an upbeat attitude, like a half glass full attitude, but he's a hobo essentially, right? and he's waiting on this lonely road, and Gene Hackman comes and down this hill, and he's now competing with him, waiting on this lonely road to get a ride. And the two of them are out there for hours, and there's very little, next to no dialogue at all for this opening scene. And you get to know both of the characters quite quickly. And I hate to even say this part, just because I want people to watch this movie from the beginning and just discover each little moment. But Gene Hackman's character is very gruff and angry, and we learn that he just got out of prison, and he's got a half-lit cigar, a cigar in his mouth, and he wants to light the rest of it, but he doesn't. His lighter's not working. So Lion, Al Pacino's character, kind of motions him over quietly, like from across the street, and he's like, I got last match. And then he lights it, and Gene lights his cigar, and now he's friends with him. Now he's happy with him. And it's all because of that one act of kindness. And now he's like, okay, you and I, we can be friends. And he lets him in on his little secret. Gene Hackman's little secret is he's got a plan. He's got a life plan. He just got out of the joint, and he's got the money. He's got everything ready to go. He's got the whole plan to open up a car wash in Pittsburgh, and they're going to make some good money. And he wants Lion to be his right-hand man. And Lion, Al Pacino, says, well, why'd you turn around? He's like, you gave me your last match. That says a lot about a man. And it becomes a love story. It's just a love story of these two, hobos who are hopping on trains and going into greasy little diners, and they stop along the way to visit Gene Hackman's sister. And it's like Barfly on the road. It's a continuation almost of Midnight Cowboy, and it's just this love affair that these two people that society has forgotten about.
Yeah, apparently Roger Ebert compared it to Midnight Cowboy and Of Mice and Men. I'm guessing there's a interplay there between the two mains.
They suggest that Hackman's dumb. I didn't really pick up on that. I don't think that was really sold. Maybe because it is Gene Hackman, but it was a different character that I've ever seen Gene Hackman play. He's very angry, and he wants to get in bar fights all the time, whereas Al Pacino's character is much more young. Like I said, he's half glass full. He's much more of an optimist. And there's this early on, the namesake of the movie, Scarecrow, is revealed, and it's just really solid, great writing. So Pacino's character is suggesting that he's got a theory as to why what scarecrows are meant for. They're not to scare away crows, guys. That's not their purpose. It's because they're funny, and they make crows laugh. And crows say, yeah, the farmer put him out there for us. He's giving us a laugh. We shouldn't eat his crops. Good. Thanks, farmer. You're a good guy. So the crows are laughing, and Gene Hackman's hearing this, and he's like, no, the scarecrow is there specifically to scare crows away. Like, you got to scare people away. And it says so much about those two characters and their look at life and their take on life. And I'm always going to be hearing Gene Hackman as Max saying, the crows are laughing, huh? Crows are laughing. Becomes a prison movie. There are some moments. All right, so Pacino's got like this little gift because he's going to see his 5-year-old kid. He doesn't even know if it's a boy or a girl because he's been out of life for so long. And there's a prison scene where they both get locked up, and he's still got his little box with him, his little present with him. It's like, if they let you walk around with your gift in prison, in jail.
It was a different time.
Maybe it was a different time. But for those of you who watch Three's Company and you remember Lana, the very lascivious woman who was obsessed with banging Jack, she's got a couple scenes in here. Essentially the same character. I love this Scarecrow. It is very of its time. It's very sweet. It's very slow. It's a type of movie that it's all about the performances. It was in between the two Godfathers that Pacino shot this, which is interesting because he already played Don Corleone. And Pacino says it's the best script he had ever read. I don't know when he said that because I'm sure that he's read some scripts since then, but Gene Hackman continues to say it's his favorite character he ever played. So I'm big on the Scarecrow. Scarecrow is what it's called, Scarecrow, and I saw it on something called Cinema Box.
What the fuck is Cinema Box? Is that like a Red Box or whatever?
I don't know. With these smart TVs, you just say Scarecrow, and then you see a bunch of like zany, low rent horror films. Then you sift through those, and then you see Gene Hackman running off and Al Pacino running off of a boxcar, and you click on that one, and it tells you where you can see it. And it said Cinebox, and I said, all right, Cinebox, let's go. And I downloaded Cinebox and watched it for free.
Is the poster hard to look at? I could see the poster being atrocious.
It's just them like mid-run. That's why it looks like a heist movie, and you see a boxcar behind them. Like it's one of their stops where they're hopping off of a boxcar.
It's not terrible.
Not awful, but it doesn't give you
Doesn't do them any favors.
very abrupt ending too, that you don't really see coming. And I would have liked more. I would have liked to see where these guys ended up. But yeah,
Speaking of abrupt.
Director of Panic in Needle Park.
what about Panic in Needle Park?
The director of the Panic in Needle Park.
Yeah, he had a very limited career. He didn't do a whole lot, but this is the first thing I've seen by him, and I really, really enjoyed it. Scarecrow. All right.
All right. All right.
I can't believe this movie's been around for my entire life, and I just watched it this week.
Been hiding in plain sight.
It is one of those movies that will forever. The last time I felt this way was with Charlie, and I think you assigned me Charlie.
I
Brian.
did, yeah. Charlie Flowers for Algernon.
Love this movie. Love this movie. How have I not seen it? How have I not seen Charlie until now? So one of the it's up there with as far as discovery and late in life. I shouldn't say late.
You want to we got two assignments here. We got a listener assignment and a producer assignment.
Yeah, let's take
first we got a break assignment.
Yeah, we're being assigned a break by our producer. After that, we'll talk about one of two movies. Oh, we'll talk about them both after this. We're back. Let's talk about
Summer of 84.
Summer of 84 is 2018 film. Directed by directed by three people. Francois Simard, Anouk Whistle, and Johan Carl Whistle, aka that is a mouthful. So they're also collectively known as RKSS, aka Roadkill Superstars. They are a directing triumvirate. The stars Graham Verschier, Judah Lewis, Caleb Emery, Corey Gruter Andrew, Tierra, Jesus Christ, this name. Tierra Scoveby, and Rich Summer. If you don't recognize those names, they're all young people, teenagers in this movie, Summer of 84. 72% of Rotten Tomatoes. I stream this on Canopy, if that helps. This is very much a throwback movie. I imagine, Anderson, you got a lot of side member berries, i.e. reminds you of a time and a place.
Yeah. This is one of the characters almost is the era, right? Like they say that about New York films with the backdrop. And New York's almost like a character. The 80s are definitely a character in this movie.
I should credit Stephen Morris, by the way. Sorry for assigning us this.
Yeah, Stephen, how do we get this far in without talking about Stephen Morris, the great?
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Stephen.
I spoke with Stephen Morris yesterday for, I don't know, upwards of a half hour. I kept him on the phone because we were talking real estate too. He does, he lives out in Cleveland, does real estate out there, and different kind of real estate than what I do. But yeah, Stephen's one of the good ones. Did you also credit Rich Sommer, who is
Yes, he was the last name I mentioned. He was great.
You may not have recognized him as Harry Crane from Mad Men because you didn't watch Mad Men, but he is Harry Crane from Mad Men. So he's a very recognizable face.
I'll take your word for it. He was great. He was one of the best parts of the movie.
Now,
oh, God, sorry.
This thing, you can't help but think of Stranger Things when watching this. That came out the same.
I didn't.
I think that they were both being developed right around the same time, and it's hard to suggest that one bit off the other when they're both biting off the 80s. So, but it's definitely a very, very similar vibe. What I really liked about this movie that Stranger Things didn't need to go there, and I'm kind of happy they didn't. This was a different vibe, but this is about teenage boys, like middle school age, and there is a lot of filthy sex talk that gives them they earn their R rating, because this movie, if they were to remove some of that dialogue and cut a couple of the bloody scenes that do eventually happen, you have a PG, possibly PG-13 movie here that you can open up to a wider audience. But it was authentic and real in the sense that these horned up teenage boys are going to be talking about the vagine and the boobies over there.
Is there anything filthier than a teenage boy to listen to?
Nothing. Atticus, we're borrowing an Oculus, one of those Meta Oculus thing, virtual reality thing, and he pretty quickly, he should not be doing this probably, but he pretty quickly figured out how to, on his little fishing game, how to click on it. So now it's like there's other people online in there with him.
Oh no. And
he walked into some kind of, it's all like Weeble Wobble, right? It's not like realistic Grand Theft. It's cute, sweet animation. And he walked like he was on the pier, and I had it casting to my computer so I could see what was going on. I'm in the same room, and he goes into like some kind of like restaurant bar area in this little place where he was fishing, having a grand time, just catching fish and whatnot. And now he's in this bar area, and I see like the bartenders behind who is computer, and then there's like a player who's pretending to like try and give this bartender oral. And I hear kids this Saturday night, and I hear like 13-year-old boys going, "Oh, look at Jack's sucking him off. He's trying to suck him off. Look at." I'm like, "All right, Atticus, shut up down. What are we doing here? You're 7." It just, and they're a bunch of loser, not loser. They're kids. They're 13-year-old kids on a
Teenage
Saturday
boys
night
are the worst.
playing this kids fishing game, trying to like be funny. Yeah,
that would have played big in my junior high. I might have been the one doing the doing the act out.
It's a good time.
It's so dumb.
So I'm glad you said you alluded to all this, Anders, not the fishing, not the fishing non sequitur, but the other stuff, because this movie, Summer of '84, is very, it's very tropey and sort of ordinary outside of the kids, the kids themselves. This movie lives or dies on the performance of the kids. And thankfully the kids are really charismatic, really fun, feels well written, like so true to what the boys like this would have been like at the time. Like this is it, the movie It, although not nearly as good, but it's that same vibe where it's like, yeah, I buy these kids as friends who are getting into mischief and misadventures. The movie's almost neither here nor there. It's actually remarkably twist free. Like the movie is so straightforward, and everything that is telegraphed happens. It's like, all right,
Bryan,
well,
you just fucked everybody, Bryan.
What are you talking about?
The one, if trying to figure out if it is going to turn, or that's a fun part of the movie. Oh, from the beginning.
Avery,
there's not a twist is the same.
Well, all I'm saying is this movie is not remarkable in any way, aside from the kids, the main cast, who I liked very much. In that case, I found it to be overall good.
Yeah, it's a sweet, goes down smooth, and it's like I was talking to Steven, who also he cited Super 8 as another comp for this one, but they're not a whole lot of.
By me, all those movies are. Even The Sandlot to an extent.
Yeah, this is like graduated Sandlot, right? Like, all right, you've seen The Sandlot, now you're a little older, you can watch something like this. But there's just not as many peaks or valleys as something like The Clovich Killer. Sure. But you're right. Like the kids, the cast is great, and it goes down smooth, and great performances, and a great little like throwback to yesteryear. I wanted to like get on the mountaintops and say everyone needs to see Summer of '84 immediately, but I was not sad for watching it, and I did like the performances, and I did like trying to figure out where it was going to twist, or where it was going to turn, or what was going to happen here. I did like.
You're still looking. Hey, let me ask you this: did it bother you? I was minorly annoyed by the movie score features very warbly music, as though it is distorted, as though we were watching an old VHS, and it's like warbly distorted from the tape degrading. I found that very distracting, because it almost is like we see movies that have grainy film. I'm making air quotes here because they're obviously not shot on film, let alone grainy film, but they do that as a nod to yesteryear or something. And it's like, yeah, I didn't need that. I didn't need the warbly music. That was
Bryan, it's both a blessing and a curse that you are so tuned into music. I honestly I didn't recognize it.
You didn't recognize it? You comments on the score of movies far more than I do.
I recognized the score, but I didn't notice that it was like purposely sounding like it was playing off of like a reel to reel.
Yeah, it was distorted. It was an effect that I didn't need.
Maybe because you're familiar with the songs that were being played.
No, these were literal, like the score.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I good catch. I missed that.
Well, Bryan was an audio engineer for decades, so
that's true.
Maybe you were just on some different meds.
Could have been, yeah. My new meds are kicking in.
But yeah, Summer '84.
That's a minor quibble. It didn't ruin the movie for me.
And this is like a tweener movie. It's a tweener movie. Like, it's the kind of movie where if you're trying to ease into horror films and you're not quite there yet, you know what I mean? Like you're in 7th, 8th grade and you spend your Saturday nights pretending to suck off the bartender in a fishing game for kids. Like this would be a movie that you would. And is it time we watch Turbo Kid now? Because this is the same trio that did Turbo Kid, which was making a lot of noise when it came out years ago.
I don't know.
I think we should watch Turbo Kid one day.
Super good.
Turbo Kid. All right.
Speaking of new medication, Brian's been sounding clear and well spoken recently. Something going on there?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
As you stumble over your words.
I don't know about that. Thank you, Avery. I've been actually going to speech therapy. Also, that is one
Therapist should be fired.
She doesn't cure me. She can only do so much. It's like saying the painter on the Titanic should be fired. It's like, yeah, they can only do so much.
What?
That said, it's
On
also
the floor of the ocean? I can't do anything.
no, like they're painting the Titanic. You're like, that looks like hell. Anyway, point is, it's also a morning show. I end up taking my my Adderall today, so I am fired up. Let's go.
Oh, that's what it
You
is.
lost your bottle and get new prescription. Do they frown upon that?
It is a controlled substance. I have to go pick it up at the hospital.
I'd like some.
I can't give you any because
Come right out and say it.
I crushed up and snorted.
I'm gonna come right out and say it. I'd like some.
Hey, that shit works.
I know it does. I know. I used to abuse it quite a bit.
Oh, well, I take it responsibly.
Speaking of abuse,
I take it so responsibly, Anderson. This is your image of nerdy me. I won't take it if it's like if it's a weekend and I've slept in or whatever, and like it's like after 9 a.m. because I'm like, nope, it'll keep me up all night.
You're such a nerd.
I know, sorry.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right. I was just counting the number of jump scares that I kept track of in summer of '84. There was a dozen
plentiful
jump scares. I was keeping track. I'm like, all right, there's the first jump scare, and then I started marking them down. It turned out I just counted them for the first time. 14 jump scares. Very, very horny kids, which we already talked about. I don't know if this was a different part of the world or maybe just in my little my own experience, but they were very open about beating off, and the kids that I grew up with were very not open about beating off. Everyone felt like if they beat off, there was probably something very wrong with them. Everyone, it was right up there with homophobia. It was like, what do you beat? Oh, you probably beat off, don't you? Like a lot of that kind of thing. A lot of that.
I don't know if we had that. It was more just it was not talked about, but they would still be like, dude, fucking this chick is hot and fucking
a lot of that
and tits.
And
there was that. But
in this movie, like one of their fake playboys would present itself, and then like the hardcore kid would just grab it, like, all right, going to beat off. See ya.
Give that drop.
It's not anything I've ever heard.
Anderson, could you mark that for me?
Hold on, Mark. All right, you ready?
Yeah, is there anything else that we talk about?
Andor.
Andor. Come on now. Andor is a 2022 series directed by Toby Haynes, at least the first 3 episodes, which we were assigned by Avery, written by Tony Gilroy. Again, also the first 3 episodes. Also the series creator, Mr. Tony Gilroy. 96% of Rotten Tomatoes. This is streaming on Disney Plus, as you can imagine. It is a Star Wars adjacent series. And yes, thank God, Avery, that you assigned us the first 3 episodes, because the first 2 were a little boring. Not much happens. The third one really picks up, and I will admit, a little annoyed after the first 2. I'm like, God damn, are we just gonna do this the whole time? And the third one is a lot more action. So I was you were redeemed in my eyes.
I almost assigned you 4 because the 4th one is entirely a heist. And it kicks major ass, but I think it would have been a little too long. The total runtime of the 4 would have been a little too much to justify. But the 4th one, after 3 onward, it's just off and running.
Well, I'll not be watching that, but I take your word for
it. As someone who's watched the 4th one, I can attest to what.
Yeah.
I stopped at 4 because I did run out of time, but 3 was good enough that I'm like, you know what? I can sleep 45 minutes less tonight to watch number 4 and see where this goes. Number 1, episode 1. It's here's what you pick up. Andor is a dastardly fellow. He's arrogant and untrustworthy, but with a noble cause. So you're supposed to forgive all that. I mean,
he's what Solo should have been.
Other than his noble cause, like he is just a piece of shit that you don't want anything to do, right?
There's a Star Wars sex scene in that. There's a woman getting out of bed in her underwear. It's crazy.
Exciting. But I found it to be a snooze. Episode 1, snooze fest. Episode 2, caught some more winks. Very, very sleepy. Made me very tired and very boring. getting closer to making the deal that he needs to make for his quest is what episode 2 is all about. And then episode 3, it finally starts to cook. And then what I can say is there is a phenomenal editing throughout this entire all 4 episodes that I've seen so far. They seamlessly edit time and storylines, and they know exactly when to get in and out of scenes from this time period and go back to that time period. It probably confused Bryan to an extent, but
I was lost.
I think they had like
who's the kid?
5 or 6 different storylines going at one time, which really helps it move once it does. That's why there was so much establishing going on. I think was so that they could seamlessly edit from one storyline to the next. Much like The Wire, like the first 2 full seasons of The Wire. I'm like, why do people love this? But there's just a whole lot of setup.
Not nearly enough lightsabers for my taste. That's all I got.
That's all you
Actually,
got.
I really enjoyed the inspired choice to make the villain a sort of weenie bureaucrat. I did. I found that inspiring for the Star Wars universe. Usually, the villains are some terrible
Usually
leader or existential threat to civilization. I like that it was a weenie who was a pencil pusher.
I mean, what's his name? Donald. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank?
Sutherland, Pleasant Glover.
Oh,
No.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Donald Gleason, yeah, like he's definitely a weenie. I think what they do is the underlings are usually weenies, and then the guys at the top are like, rule with an iron fist and very confident, but their underlings are very weenie.
Very Kushner. They're very Jared Kushner.
They are
even with Hux, or like the aforementioned Hux, or even like Giancarlo Esposito in the Mandalorian.
Bryan, you're just trying to like show that you have some limited knowledge in this.
Oh, stop. I'm saying they're usually terrifying in some way. Hux is intimidating. Granted, he's not powerful physically like Kylo Ren. That said, this was a departure. I don't think you can compare those.
Stellan Skarsgård is. I didn't know he had this kind of range. He's fantastic, and he's
so good.
Essentially, a couple different characters in this series, and so far that's been the most rewarding, fun part of this show that I'm watching.
Does the droid get better? Because sometimes the droid really adds. Here, it's just kind of neither here nor there.
It's a Tudyk too, so we need more from him. So far, not getting much. Diego Luna, he's great. I always love him. I just don't love his character yet. I didn't love it in Rogue One either, or whatever it was. Right? He was kind of a dastardly dick that I didn't really like. He was just killing people, like shooting them in the back and stuff. It's like, is this someone I'm supposed to root for? You know what I mean? Yeah.
It worked for me.
What did you think of episode 4? Because that's when I think it really starts to sing. The action and the editing and the promise of the series.
Yeah, that's where the action does come in. You know me, I'm not a big action guy, but they had set it up well enough that you're actually you care about the characters, and just once he teams up with Stellan, it's good stuff. I liked it quite a bit. And I will be watching it here and there, time permitting. I will finish this. It's 24 episodes. Is that what it's on?
No. It's 12.
It's 12
It'll be 24 total. And for context, so the new one is going to be coming out in early 2025, and that's it. They've already planned it that way. It was planned that way ahead of time. I'm sure they offered him more, but he went, the story only mandates doing 2 seasons. I'm doing 2 seasons, then I'm done.
Nice.
So it's going to be, we're already halfway through. It's going to be short and sweet and his vision. So, and I liked it. What I really like about this too is that it's the first Star Wars property I've seen that does not even attempt to pander to children. They don't give a fuck if your kid is watching this. This is just purely made with adults in mind, and I really like that about it.
I mean, I'm on the fence with that. I mean, there's enough adult stuff out there, but I get it also that there's Star Wars nerds who are dead now from old age. So yeah, I guess they do
almost
deserve.
Me.
Yeah, Bryan.
All right, thanks for
Not a Star
saying,
Wars nerd.
Avery.
I'm
I'm glad
offended.
I saw the first episode.
Seems like Bryan was lukewarm on it. I feel like Bryan should keep watching since he loves Rogue One.
He's also a self-proclaimed Star Wars nerd.
I know.
It's not lukewarm. It's up and down. The first 2, like Anderson said, were a lot of exposition and frankly kind of boring. Third one really picked up to the point where I'm like, where's this going?
I would say the rest of the series, 3 is like the floor for quality. Everything is as good or better.
Sounds
Can I
great.
can I jump in here and say that Mandalorian for me thus far still crushes it? I'm way more into Mandalorian. The first I don't think I even saw the most recent season, but the first number of seasons that I saw Mandalorian, absolutely loved it. And Firefly still outpaces it for my money. I goddamn love that Firefly.
Firefly better than this?
Yeah, for me.
Oh,
I mean,
I mean,
not,
you
not
gotta
talking
wait.
I
quality
don't know
here,
about that.
talking about like actual like writing and characters and very, very different. They're both space cowboy movies or shows, but I like Firefly more as of right now. But I'm only 4 episodes in.
Yeah, you got a long way to go.
Thank you, Avery. And that's it for the Fanflickssions. Yeah.
Firefly. Goddamn.
Coming up.
Have both of you
next,
seen Firefly? Brian, you've seen
Yeah,
like
I saw
the
it
movie.
ages ago.
you just saw Serendipity.
Serenity.
Serenity. Serendipity is another.
Serendipity. What is
Uh,
serendipity?
I'm
I
gonna.
don't mind
Oh wait,
serendipity.
hey, what was that? Was that a droid?
So I don't mind serendipity.
Thought I heard a droid.
Not
Quick
for
question
me.
came to mind while watching Andor. Henson, am I missing something with the Idea Man documentary that was very good that we Flickfest last week? I don't recall them talking about his work on Star Wars at all.
What work did he do on Star Wars?
Like Salacious Crumb, and I mean, there's a
That
lot.
was Henson.
Wasn't it?
I know Frank Oz was the voice of
And
Yoda,
Frank
but
Oz is in there. I would
I
have.
was
There was a. I thought that it was the Henson creature.
yeah, it might, you know what? It might be. I thought it
I mean,
It
Salacious
might be.
Crumb is just a fucking Muppet, and if that's not his
yeah.
factory, then there's lawsuits that should have happened.
But I thought by the time they were doing all those characters, it was all Lucasfilm.
I don't know. Lucas was on set for like Pan's Labyrinth, so there was a lot of.
That's it. Dude, you might be right. I don't know the answer to that. I feel like
he was brought on to create the original Yoda puppet for Empire Strikes Back, and Lucas offered the part of Yoda himself to Henson, but he turned him down because he already had commitments to the Great Muppet Caper. And he instead, Jim Henson offered the part of Yoda to Frank Oz, who's puppeteer and voice of Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and Animal.
So he created Yoda. I mean, that wasn't even mentioned in the documentary. That's
it wasn't. You're right.
interesting.
Huh.
Okay.
Feels like an oversight.
All right,
All
let's
right.
move it along.
Coming up next, we'll do our top 5 movies that need a trigger warning. I feel like Anderson and I approach this differently, but we'll find out after this. All right, we're back. Time for top 5 movies that need a trigger warning. Anderson, how did you? I asked we just dive in on this one. You want to go first, or should I go first?
You can go first. Whatever.
Me first. I love my list as always, but especially this week. The trigger warning with this should have been. I found it quite jarring, and I still am somewhat haunted by the images. So perhaps a trigger warning. You will see images of an old lady's freshly scalded inner thighs. If you watch
Hot coffee.
Actually,
Yes. Good call, Brian.
this will be
Good.
fun. I will
Smashing start.
I'll give you the trigger warning. You guess the movie. Yes, the freshly scalded inner thighs of a poor old lady are displayed jarringly for all to see in Hot Coffee, the Droid documentary from 2011, directed by Susan Saladoff, about the much derided and joked about lawsuit that McDonald's, remember the late night shows? Hey, a woman's suing McDonald's because their coffee was too hot. Everyone's laugh. Everyone has a good laugh over how silly that was until you see the photographs, which I had not seen from 1990, whatever.
Apparently no one had.
Yeah, and it was eye opening.
Yeah,
could have used a heads up.
A pretty straightforward documentary about tort reform. It was riveting. It was fantastic. It was kept you. It had its claws in you for sure. It's a really, really well made documentary, but you're not expecting those file photos to come out of left field. And I mean, it was some of the most disturbing shit you can imagine, with the sloughing and the burning and yeah.
It was quite anatomical, was it not?
I mean, it was a real person. So
I don't believe they showed genitalia, but it was exposed.
Okay. Because
Old lady.
I thought in the past you'd implied there were pink parts, and
I don't think so. I think that's your brain.
I believe it was PG-13, but that said, woo.
I really hope there's not a single person listening going, all right, then I'm out. Like they're going to watch this movie and then they heard that wasn't in there because it's PG-13. And they're like, yeah, no longer interested if there's not.
If there's not old lady pink parts.
If you are that person, please,
please email us at contacttfv@gmail.com.
Okay.
Hot Coffee can be streamed on Hoopla as well as Tubi and Pluto TV. I recommend this. This is a solid documentary.
All right, Brian, off to a very, very good start. I would imagine that your list is going to, this is your idea, and I think you probably may have had some ideas, and I can see already that your list is probably going to blow mine out of the water, which I'm happy. My number 5 for me, very recent, with some recency bias here, perhaps, but I think Avery's going to agree with me that when you sign up on AMC or wherever it is where you buy your tickets, or maybe you're renting it on the old Amazon over there to watch in the comfort of your own home, you're interested in the man Ferrari and how he became a legend and how he created an empire.
What the fuck?
You're not signing up for one of the most horrific accidents you will ever see in motion pictures.
Oh my God.
In real time, real speed, with real aftermath involving children being disassembled.
Oh my God.
I don't think that's what anyone had in mind when they bought their popcorn.
It bears repeating that when my buddies went to see this, it's like shock and all. Everyone's gasping in the theater, and there was one man in there who was going, and he just kept uncontrollably laughing to the point where a stranger had to tell him to stop and that it was inappropriate because the guy had such a weird, like, strong reaction to being like uncomfortable. He had that inappropriate laughter going, and the stranger had to tell him to stop.
I can't diagnose this man. I will say that's possibly a medical condition, because I laugh more now uncontrollably at like uncomfortable situations where I don't want to laugh, but I'm sort of whatever brain trauma I've been through over the years with my treatment now causes me to laugh sometimes, and it's uncomfortable.
Did they need to go so hard, Anderson? Did we need it?
I mean, I appreciate it, and I think maybe they did, because I'm so tired of people pulling punches, especially with stuff that could. I mean, I think that they changed a bunch of rules and laws because of this horrific accident. So like, it's just like, PG-13 violence, and they don't show the blood. It's like, let's see what's actually happening. Let's see the actual repercussions, consequences.
The studio was telling him, please don't do this. Please.
He's like, I'm Ridley Scott. I do as I would.
Please don't include this in our Christmas racing movie. Please don't do this.
I'm not. Yeah. It's Ferrari is my number 5, and it could be because of recency bias. Michael Mann, not Ridley Scott. You dumb fuck.
Come on now,
Michael GD Mann. He's like, hey, I'm Michael Mann. I do what I want.
Oh, I
respect it.
Just searched on YouTube for Ferrari crash scene. I'm gonna watch this.
You've seen this, right, Brian?
No, I've not.
You have not seen Ferrari?
No. Why would I?
Why wouldn't you watch Ferrari? It's one of the biggest movies of last year. I didn't realize you went through the whole year without seeing Ferrari, which is very good.
It's a Bryan film.
Yeah, this is a movie that you would have absolutely loved.
Well, perhaps I'll see it.
And now you're watching it on YouTube, the most horrific scene. Oh, Brian, what are you doing? Stop it.
All right, I'm not watching it. Number 4 for me is I stand by it. It's a feature film. It's a narrative. It's bit outdated. Let's put it this way: the trigger warning, I should say, crude, outdated homosexual and racial stereotypes. Also, the sexual assault of a young woman pretending to be her boyfriend with a mask. Yes, I'm talking about Revenge of the Nerds. Revenge of the Nerds should come with a trigger warning if you have sensitivity towards sexual assault. Also, if you find outdated racial and homosexual stereotypes to be triggering, then this is not the movie for you.
Very good, Brian. I think that also might have come up on movies that didn't age well. What was the one that
we had a couple of versions? Like one was like gay stereotypes. One was like gay stereotypes. One was like things that wouldn't fly today.
Yeah,
I think out of that era, Porky still takes the cake. Jesus Christ, that movie is irredeemable. I saw that like 3 years ago, and it was hard to defend.
You know, I've never seen the whole thing.
of Porgies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
We haven't
Because
seen Ferrari.
Brian pulled the summer of 1984, and he had to go. He had to go
That's
take
right.
care of himself.
Number 4 for me comes from a movie from 2007, and it is the de-evolution of this film in Sunshine. If you're signing up to watch what is a fantastic,
The
interesting
trigger warning should be a lack of quality.
Lack of
sci-fi movie,
goodness.
and you're going, very excited to watch Danny Boyle's sci-fi Sunshine starring Cillian
If
Murphy,
you're triggered by disappointment,
and they should let you know as a movie connoisseur that the first 2 acts are phenomenal. Like, you're thinking maybe one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time, and by the 3rd act it will completely and totally devolve into some silly space
a
vampire
monster movie, yeah.
that just did not belong in that script or on that screen. So it's the de-evolution of a fine film, and Sunshine should have a trigger warning for me.
Warning: adult content and badness.
Yeah. Warning, this movie
Disappointment.
starts off good.
Disappointment coming your way.
Warning: movie devolves into ungood.
So yeah, 2007. There's a lot good there, guys. There's a lot good.
Should I see it? I haven't
What
seen it. Is it? Will it just make me mad?
I want you to do a fan edit where it just cuts out the 3rd act.
It's
You should see it just because it's so interesting. You don't.
ironically overall a good movie. You know what I mean? The first 2/3 are so good.
So there's.
Ah,
I
shit.
still think about the space jump scene. That was a great scene.
It's about a team of international astronauts, and they're sent into a dangerous mission to reignite the dying sun with a nuclear fission bomb in 2057. I mean, just the plot line alone is absurd and ridiculous, but they somehow pulled it off. That's another thing, is like they actually had you believing as an audience member that maybe there is some truth to this, maybe because they lay out the science in such a way that our dumb fuck brains who aren't scientific perhaps will be like, okay, I'm buying it, and then the turn. It's like, why? You guys were onto something. Okay.
Poorly conceived. Number 3 for me, along the lines of my number 5. I was not ready. Why? What? Let Anderson, see if you can guess. The trigger warning should have said on this 2016 film, pervasive domestic abuse / violence. However, the real trigger is shocking, bloody photos of savagely murdered bodies.
I don't know.
OJ, Made in America, was not ready for the nearly headless photos of Nicole Brown Simpson.
Oh yeah,
Ronald Goldman.
Jesus Christ!
That was upsetting. And I was not ready for that. Also, let's not move past the domestic violence that kind of goes throughout the movie. I imagine if that's something that would trigger you, this would be a hard movie to swallow. That said, for me, it was the out of nowhere photographs of almost headless bodies.
Very good.
Upsetting.
Number 5. Number 3 for me. Number 3 for me. Now, you sign up. You're excited because you like your Kurt Russell, right? Kurt Russell's pretty good. You like him?
Oh no.
Sure.
Yeah. You like Richard Jennings, good actor, right? You
Richard
like
Jenkins?
Jenkins. You enjoy a little Western, right? I like to
Sure.
watch a Western. David Arquette,
It's a
he's
good movie
goofy.
to
It's
watch with
fun.
my parents. Yeah.
Bone Tomahawk. Let's watch a little Bone Tomahawk. That looks fun. And it is.
There were some elements that could have been needed some telegraphing.
Until it's not as fun as a lot of people would find. I found it to be very fun and enjoyable. However, I was not prepared for the ultimate martyr-esque torture and cannibalism and everything else that comes along with Bone Tomahawk. It is one of the hardest watches you will ever have by the 3rd act. And I think that a lot of people probably were. I would imagine this, if you could track where people tapped out, I bet a lot of people tapped out in the 3rd act. And
Also, because as I
But-
recall, it's a fairly straightforward neo-Western, but like a Western until it becomes a fucking monster movie.
and it does become a monster movie, but in the best possible way. This is the the opposite of I think it gets even better because it's not just following all the Western tropes, which were all there. It could have been a fine, just straightforward Western movie, but with bringing in this monster element, now, it has been politicized, and they're suggesting that this is, a extreme alt-right look at Native Americans. It's a good movie. I stand by that. And you know what? It opens up with a pretty violent, bloody scene where they're slitting people's throats as they sleep. And if you recall, I've said it many times on the show, but it was where David Arquette's very annoyed because they pee themselves when they cut their throats. Why they always got to piss themselves? He's like
bothersome.
Like annoyed that they're peeing on him a little bit as he kills them.
That is annoying.
You've seen Bone Tomahawk, yes, Avery?
I have not, because I've been turned off by the description of the final act.
You have the rest of the show off. Go immediately watch that.
I will pull a Bryan and just watch the hard parts on YouTube.
That's not what we want to do.
Bone Tomahawk fucking rules. It rules. It's really, really good. Bryan, explain
Anderson likes it more than me.
Bryan explained the goodness.
Kurt Russell said it's his favorite movie he's ever been in.
I do. I love
unreliable narrator.
That's what Kurt says. Kurt says that.
Coming up next. Sorry, Avery, button hooked you on that one. If you want to stick around, we'll do some Amazon and come back with the rest of our trigger warnings. I'll see if Anderson can guess mine from the description after this.
It's probably a documentary.
Here are the things interesting and notable purchased on our Amazon link this week. That's your cue, Avery. Sorry, that wasn't clear.
He's never going to learn. He's never going to learn.
What I learned?
Right.
Oh, you put it in
really
later?
There's music. Do you believe that there's music as we hear it right now? The listener is hearing the music, right?
I thought maybe Avery would be playing it just so he could hear it.
We've done this 4 times. We've had this discussion 4 times.
Never.
So wait, the music is or is not playing?
It is not playing, right? It will be playing.
It's playing for the listener as they hear it.
Okay, so it is playing.
Not right now, Bryan. Not as.
Can the listener hear it right now?
Yes, but it has nothing to do with Avery being button hooked because he's doing all of this while we're doing something else.
Avery, I'm sorry to catch you flat-footed, but it's time to play the music. Here are the things purchased through that Amazon link.
I'm gonna go watch Bone Tomahawk.
There you go. So it's up Anderson at Bryan.com.
I want to hear a Flickfession from you next week, Bone Tomahawk. Let's go.
Maybe I'll switch out Chimp Crazy for Bone Tomahawk with this girl.
Oh God. Can you imagine? What top 5 worst date night movies? All right. Someone got themselves a Lenovo ThinkPad Gen 5 business laptop. A Lenovo IdeaPad 1 student laptop was also purchased. I like the idea that like a mom or a dad was getting themselves or getting their kid a student laptop. Like, you know what? As long as I'm here, got one for myself too.
You know, I just heard that. I just heard a study where they said that parents do spend a lot of money on themselves when they go out back to school shopping for their kid. Like,
I guess if you have older kids. Yeah, sure.
I think that they're just like in the shopping mood. They're like, hey, you know what? Not all for you. How about that?
As long as I'm here. I need some Sharpies too.
Yeah.
3 Shure Shure Profile, low, God damn it. 3 Shure Professional, low profile lavalier microphones. 2 Casper hybrid pillows. Eufy L60 robot vacuum was purchased. HPE networking access point. Schlage Connect Smart Deadbolts, HP toner cartridge, Streamlight Stinger LED rechargeable flashlight, Kingston Fury Beast 64 gig memory kit, SKB soft rack case, Under Armour boxer jocks. They call their boxer brief boxer jocks. So there you go. Someone got those. Fuego LT fishing reel.
Fuego.
Oh, don't let Atticus see that.
I'm supposed to take him fishing this coming weekend. Not excited.
Well, that sounds lovely. Fever 3 ginger beer was picked up. Someone got a 1,400 square foot air purifier. Nutrafol men's hair regrowth supplements. Wellness Basics mini nicotine lozenges. Snack box variety pack, 160 count of snacks. Curla. Is it Curla or Surla? Either way. Surla Brewing, Grain Wave, Indie Wave mix pack. That's a big pack of beer. Enjoy that. Blink Outdoor HD security camera. Someone got an Amazon Echo. Hori Nintendo Switch, the black and gold Pikachu version, Amazon gift card birthday candles edition, and finally, someone got themselves a Foxy Fane variety pack of 60 healthy snacks and treats.
And
Enjoy.
treats.
Enjoy.
Here's a member there, click-throughs, and let them out. Yo! Welcome to the Rise of Click-Through, as well as Contact. Hey, we were just talking about Contact last week. The Shadow is Click-Through, as well as Ghost and the Darkness, the Blair Witch Project, The Silence of the Lambs, The Family Man, Mr. Holland's Opus, fuck to the S with the Mr. Holland's Opus. Love that movie. Really, really enjoyed that movie. The Man with Two Brains. Still got to see that. I've not seen that. Don Juan DeMarco is Click-Through, as well as Noises Off, which is the alternate title for Quiet Place. The Finest Hours was Click-Through. I saw that. I saw a screening.
Is it the oil rig movie?
It's the Chris Pine movie.
Chris Pine, oil, yeah.
Days of Thunder was Click-Through, as well as Bringing Out the Dead. Weatherman, fuck to the S with the Weatherman.
Is Days of Thunder tat? Because I always think to pull the trigger, and then I go, what if it's schlock?
Never seen anything like it before with that car racing NASCAR with the big engines and the sound and whatnot. I don't know if it would hold up all these years later with all the.
Is there a crash scene that compares to Ferrari?
There's not, but
No.
it was also, if memory serves, it was Tony
Scott.
kind of where he started to like really do a lot of like the really like long lens, but really punched in and swish pan.
Yeah.
Hard time figuring out where you are, and everything's kind of like chaotic. That's when he started doing that. Days of Thunder, I believe. But there's like a good fight scene that Tom Cruise has on the. What am I talking about? No, go watch Bone Tomahawk. It's streaming on Hulu right now, as well as Apple TV. If you have either one of those, hop to it. Bone. Don't be a puss. All right, it's not that bad. It's just kind of not, with the backdrop being a Western, you're not prepared for the splitting. Time Cop was Click-Through, as well as, hey, I already said Weatherman, and that's Stephen Conrad right there from Patriot fame. Enjoy that Weatherman. Everyone should watch the Weatherman. Clouds of Sils Maria was Click-Through, as well as Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre. Gremlins was Click-Through, as well as Crimson Tide. Carlito's Way, Collapse, and Five Into the Dark. Thank you very, very much for everyone who clicked through over there. And
Tony Scott getting a lot of love.
Now it's time to go back to the program.
All right, we're back. Anderson, see if you can guess the movie that needs a trigger warning from the same year, it turns out, 1984. This is also a, we got a helicopter overhead.
No one could hear it. You're
I guarantee you, no one could ever hear it.
The trigger warning for this 1984 film could have said, warning, there are crude, outdated racial stereotypes. There's also a teenage high school student who has non-consensual sex with another high school student who is so blacked out drunk that she confuses him with her actual boyfriend. Yes, 16 Candles has not aged well. There is some light to medium sexual assault that was just kind of laughed off back in the day, but that poor girl is drunk beyond her senses and is taken advantage of by a stranger, and is just okay with it at the end. Afterwards, like, oh, that was wild.
He was kind of into it. But didn't he ask if they had sex? Right? With the and the like the okay sign. Is like, did we, or is that her asking? I can't remember. It's been a long time.
I think he asked, which
I think he was also blackout drunk.
I don't believe he was, although if he was, then there would be a lot of drinking and driving as well.
Well, I mean,
remember they're in Jake's dad's Rolls Royce.
Yeah, and that never happened in the 80s.
I don't think it existed.
Last Thursday, and Johnny Goudreau and his brother got taken. It's just unbelievable.
Is that what happened? I didn't hear anything about the story other than he died.
You've lost me. What happened?
Riding a bike with his brother, and they're in town, like just outside of Philly, I guess, for his brother's, for his their sister's wedding. Can you imagine?
Who or what is
driver
this?
was like allegedly passing a couple cars.
NHL player,
like one of the one of the very well known, beloved NHL players, and just in the blink of an eye, he's gone with he and his brother. It's like, and then the fucking douche that killed him. Like there's video, I guess it went viral, of him like on the talking to the judge from jail. And the judge let him know because it's a holiday weekend, he's going to be hell, he can't get out on bond for at least like one extra day. And he's like, "Oh, really?" He didn't say really, but you could see him just exacerbated that he might be in jail for an extra day or two. It's like, dude, you took 2 fucking lives for being exceptionally selfish, and you're sad about. Like, if that was me, I wouldn't even be able to look at the judge. I would just be like, hovelled over and crying and just be like, I don't care. Just do what just please kill me. I deserve to live.
And also, hey, buddy, you're probably going to want to get used to it in there. It's not like
it's so high profile. I hate to say it, but I mean, it's so high profile. There's no way they're going to make an example of this guy for sure. There's no way. Ugh. So goddamn trash.
What's your two?
Johnny fucking hockey. Pan's Labyrinth looks like a fantasy film, which it is. Looks like it could be seen through the eyes of a child because it is
family friendly.
It's her story, and you quickly learn that the movie's got one foot in reality, which is a war-torn land and lots of dastardly things happening in this war-torn like reality, and then she slips into her fantasy world, which has the fawn and many creepy things, including her little ginger baby that she has underneath the bed. But it's really the real world that was the most shocking and jarring. And for a while there, top 5 most disturbing images I've ever seen in a movie, and that was the shaving scene, if you recall, Brian, with the straight razor towards the end. This is a movie that I think a lot of people would tap into, Pan's Labyrinth, and think, oh, this looks like it might be a fun fantasy movie that the whole family can enjoy.
It's like Harry Potter.
That it is not.
There's probably ruined a few kids.
Fucking rules. It's awesome, but if it's not freaking you out with just the fawn's imagery alone, who's one of the good guys, some of the Hellraiser like creatures that are chasing her through towards the door. My God,
you'll never see hands the same way again.
You never will see the hand. Well, actually, you know what? Similar. I think it might have been an homage to Beetlejuice, because he does that, if you recall, in Beetlejuice, where he puts his fingers, puts his eyeballs on. I should show this to Atticus just to see if he's got the moxie.
You should absolutely do that.
I shouldn't? Avery?
Probably not.
I'm going to start it, and then I'll be like, Avery said you shouldn't watch this, and I'll turn it off. No, I don't
he'll
think...
He'll be mad now, but he'll thank you later.
I think you got to be like 13, 14 years old to see this movie. Like, it's...
Even then.
Maybe even a little bit more.
I was 25, and it freaked me out.
I love Pan's Labby. I fucking love it. I still have the ticket somewhere. I get the ticket stub back when they used to, and they abbreviate longer titles, so it just says Pan's Labby. Fucking love that ticket stub.
I miss ticket stubs.
So do I.
That was good.
I got a bunch. I got a whole bunch in a box right here. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at the box.
Don't tease us.
You guys aren't. You want to see the box?
No.
You want to see the box?
What's in the box?
Brian, it was right there. It's too close. Everyone.
I know. I'd be done.
The box. Oh God, things falling. All right, here's the box. The box.
Yeah.
It's been there.
Pull out one ticket, random.
All right, here's the random.
And that's what we watched this week.
Oh shit, it was Groupers. It really was. It was for Gruber.
You're like Dr. Marvin. You're like Leo Marvin. It's all groupers.
Nausicaa doesn't. I got a Nausicaa just recently. That's weird. They gave me a ticket stub for when I took Atticus to see Nausicaa. Cars 2. I guess I did see it. Holy shit! June 11th, 2006. Cars 2. Why would I?
Oh.
And Neverland.
Did you block it out?
I saw Neverland February 18th, 2005.
Finding Neverland?
It just says Neverland. I think
Probably
it's
Finding Neverland.
All right. This exercise is over.
Really killed your enthusiasm there with Cars 2 and Neverland.
I didn't even know that I saw Cars 2. I thought I had never seen it, but apparently I saw it. Oh, speaking of which, Bri. Speed Cubers. Has this come to your attention?
We flick fast in.
Last week.
Yeah.
While watching Speed Cubers with the wife, who's got a pretty good brain on her. One of the reasons why I liked her. She's like, hey, honey, we've seen this before. And I said, no, we haven't. I'd remember. She goes, no, I watched this for sure. And I would never watch this by myself. I watched it because you wanted to watch it. And I said, no, that's just not true, honey. We might have seen like a Newsweek or I got 2020 or something. She goes, no, we've seen it. And then the great Jonathan Oxhorn sent us an email saying, hey, pretty sure you guys saw this back when it came out because
I did.
saw it, and I remember you guys both flickfessing it.
Oh wow, I have no recollection of that.
Nor do I. And it's such a great little short movie. How in the world is that? So it's still, the jury's still out. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I just saw it and Hawksworth's mistaken. But if anyone could find audio of us flickfessing Speed Cubers like 10 years ago, I would love to hear that.
Number one for me, movies that need a trigger warning. Trigger warning, actually, I don't know if you can guess this 2001 documentary. This movie is basically one long sexual assault.
2001 documentary that's a sexual, and it's not obviously not the Michael Jackson 5.
Nope, it's one long sexual assault.
Is that frat one?
One long rape.
Oh, is it that?
Raw deal.
Raw
A
deal.
question
Deal.
of consent.
Oh my God.
2001
That was a
documentary.
sign. That was a
Directed by
sign.
Billy Corbin. Yes, this is a slow motion train wreck that I imagine would upset a fair number of people who maybe encountered something similar in their life, which I'm sure is a number of people. So Raw Deal, while a very good movie, I have to be sensitive and empathetic and realize that not everyone will have the same experience watching this.
That said, though, I mean, you know what this movie is, unless you're confused and you think you're going to watch a Schwarzenegger action flick and you got the wrong one by a mistake. But this movie is all about that case, and like I think
Right, this is
read the
not.
law.
You're not going to be taken aback by a reveal. It's
Right.
just going to put people in certain people in a uncomfortable headspace.
I don't know if triggered is the right word, but I mean, I was pissed. I was emotionally affected. Like what you're supposed to be when you're watching things, right? It's not a bad thing to be emotionally affected, but I mean,
No, it's a really well done movie.
Well, I think that's the goal of most docs, right?
but I mean, I guess that I'm missing the trigger. Have I been triggered and I'm just numb to it? I don't understand. Like, have I been triggered by things? I don't know. Like, I've been really freaked out and fucked up and like got things in my head where I can't stop thinking about them for a while, but I don't think I've been truly triggered where it like takes me back to a place.
I think the closest to triggering is the example Brian gave with your dad in that
My
doc.
dad. But I knew what I was getting into, and Brian like assigned
Oh, you're talking about the being like caught off. I think you can still be triggered even if you see it
Yeah,
coming. So I think there's plenty of
exactly.
people who are like, "Oh, I can handle this," and then you go, "Wow, that's way more intense than I thought."
but
yeah, sometimes it is being taken by surprise. Sometimes, like Avery said, it's this movie, it's Raw Deal. It's I know what this is, and still was put me in a bad place.
I think what I'm not tapping into is like being the victim of some kind of trauma. Maybe even it's like buried, and then you're watching a movie, and all of a sudden you're taken right back to that place, and like you're nauseous, old sweats, and you know you're maybe you have a setback, and it affects you for weeks to months. I can't tap into that because I don't think I have that. I don't know. So yeah, I hope I'm not being insensitive here to people who have that, but it's still a slippery slope, and we can't have trigger warnings on every goddamn thing. Plus, it's like the original trigger warning just makes you want to watch it more, right? Like the following.
Oh, sure.
Intended for
Contains
adults.
bloody violence.
Yeah.
Great.
Or the parental advisory sticker on music.
Discretion advised, just like please, or this has been banned from television. Please show it. Show.
Or what's your number one?
Number one for me is Gremlins.
Go on.
Santa scene, and this is for parents, and I almost fucked up. And
Is it actually Gremlins?
It is absolutely 100%. Number one is Gremlins. And I think that this has probably fucked a lot of people. And it almost fucked me because I was very excited. Oh boy, Atticus is like 6 or 7. And he's old enough to watch Gremlins. Like, you know, it's gonna be like kind of like an entry point, gateway for horror movies. And they're fun, they're cute. And you got the Mugwai over there, but there's still some intense stuff. And gonna enjoy this with my little boy who loves Christmas. And if you watch Gremlins without thinking all the way through, and you get kind of caught up with her story about her dad and how her dad came to an end. But if you think of all the way through, and a listener, thank you very much, whoever that was, warned me because they heard me going on about how I was excited to watch Gremlins with the boy. They said, be careful of that one scene because things will change. Christmas will never be the same. And it is true because there is a reveal that you don't want children to have that quite reveal if you do take part in traditions. And there should be a trigger warning. Like if you're about to watch this with your child and they enjoy certain traditions, that tradition could be ruined forever from this point forward. Makes sense?
Fair enough.
You understand what I'm saying?
Speaking
I
of
like
which,
that you're
if you-
saying this as though there are listeners young enough to find this out as they're
you
hearing
know,
No,
this
no, no,
episode.
no, you're missing
be
it.
listening in the car, kids.
Watch with their kids. or
That's
listening.
right.
That's what
Speaking
I'm
of
saying.
which,
Oh, I
if you're a parent listening with a little kid who is just delighted, as our kids are, with the idea of Santa, maybe hit the fast forward button a couple of times because
Well, now you just said too much.
Let them hear us talk about bone tomahawk and raw deal, but skip the part about Santa.
fair.
Uh,
Are you Anderson? Are you your boy and my child are about the same age? Are you getting another year out of the old Santa there?
yeah. So far,
I
so good.
was worried the last year was the last year, and I was made my peace with it. But looks like we're, knock on wood, if all goes well, we'll get another year out of this whole thing.
Part of me is not real stoked on the whole idea. I love the magic of it all, but I also hate the idea that I have to kind of we all have to go through it. Where it's like, yeah, we've been lying. We're liars. What are you gonna do?
What's your policy? Because I know my dad was one of the kids who was fully traumatized by finding out the truth because his mom leaned hard into, oh, it's real, it's real, it's real, and then he was so embarrassed when he found out it wasn't. So then with me, there would be some Santa stuff, but his whole thing was the minute this kid starts questioning it, I'm not gonna like try to convince him otherwise. There's gonna be no pushback from me. So I feel like I found out pretty early. What's your guys' thoughts with Tessa and Atticus? Are you gonna try to maintain the illusion, or are you gonna be like, you're onto something, kid?
I think it depends on age because Tessa's already there's some. I almost the closest I came to killing a child was in her preschool. We're talking like age 3 or 4. These two twins came to school, and again, parents, if you got little ones in the car, hit that fast forward button. They came to school, well, again, 4 years old, and they're like, Santa's not real. It's your parents putting gifts in and Tessa came home like, is that true? And we're like, no, of course not. We made a whole thing like they're Jewish. They don't celebrate Christmas. That's why they're saying that. But it was
Blame the Jews, Brian.
I was furious.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like his cousin, who's like 5 years older than him, was like doing that on Christmas last year. Like Atticus was talking about what he got from Santa, and he's like, it was from your. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? I'm like, what are you doing? I pulled him aside. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be cool? That's not cool. It's just dumb. I was like, oh god, his parents are gonna get mad at me. But I mean, the kid is. It's good. It depends, Avery, on how if they're questions from. It's dicey because if he comes home like what Brian dealt with, which is other kids. I don't want other. I don't. If he's like actually putting two and two together and it doesn't make sense and like how's it go? So, But if he's just like Johnny said that it's not, I'm not going to be like, yeah, Johnny's right. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I think the part of him, I bet he's like, probably 50-50 right now, but he still wants
to catch on.
I think. Yeah. We also got the elf on the shelf, which becomes, so it's like we have like a little magic every single day of December leading up till Christmas where Ethel is the name of our elf and she like goes to different spots of the house and we make her more mischievous. Mom and I have a really good time with it. And that'll all go away too, which is very fucking sad.
Well, that's another problem because we don't have that. And Tessa's asking questions like, why don't we have an elf on a shelf? And I'm like, I guess they just don't come to our house.
Maybe they can this year. Maybe the last year, Brad.
Nope.
They're fun. They're a lot of fun.
Do you think there's a single listener over 18 that's finding out the truth for the first time listening to this episode?
I think so. I found out when I was probably 5 or 6 because I was a piece of shit kid. And,
what?
There was 4 kids. Actually, there's 3 at that point. My sister didn't come. Anyways, and I remember like, and we were latchkey kids. So I was home, with the house to myself quite a bit. And I remember searching for the Christmas presents and finding them most years. And I was very young. I was probably 6 when I found them. And I was going all over all of them. And then, of course, a few of them were wrapped from Santa. And I'm like, oh, there goes that. But I kept up the ruse and didn't want I was afraid of my parents finding out that I was snooping.
Sure. Repercussions.
I lied until I was like 8 or 9, probably.
All right. Anderson's got a heart out, Avery. So do we have a listener top 5?
Well, what was your number 1?
Yeah, which number?
Raw deal. I went first.
Oh, what was the number 2 then? I missed your number 2.
16 candles.
That's what I missed. Okay. 16 candles. Yes, we do. We've got a listener.
But I bet Gremlins has ruined a lot, right? Don't you think?
Sure.
Don't you think? Yeah.
I can see that. Especially people in your position where it's like they have no recollection of that one scene. It's like, oh no.
I remember like how her dad died, but I don't remember the reveal where it's like they go deeper into detail and like, they say too much. It's a kid's fucking movie. And I saw it when I was a kid. All
Listener list compiled by the Goose. Apparently, we had over 33 submissions. We were lighting social media on fire. 33 submissions from like different movies of different movies.
Nice.
These are the top 5 that made the shakeout. Number 5, Excision.
I know what
Number
that is.
4.
What is Excision?
I don't know. That's what it says. Excision. Let's see.
What?
Excision.
Probably a horror film.
Excision.
That's the part where
It's a Canadian DJ.
No,
It's a
weird
horror.
to see
It's a
Excision.
horror comedy. It's a horror comedy. This tracks an outcast teenager practices surgical skills and has weird and increasingly violent psychosexual fantasies. Okay, I could see that. I could see that being something I need to watch. Number 4, we
How
need
has
to talk
Excision never
about.
come up before. Look at this movie. I need to see this.
I
Excision.
don't know. Number 4, we need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah, that was on my also rents, but I mean, I think that the whole movie, one of the not figuring out why they need to talk about Kevin is half of the appeal of the movie.
Yeah.
So if
Number 3.
if you're giving that up top, you're ruining a good chunk of that movie.
Fair.
Number 3, Irreversible. Number 2, Saving Private Ryan, which I would assume is for the opening scene. And number 1 is A Clockwork Orange.
Really?
Fun.
Yeah, there's some intense
Over
stuff
the
in there.
years, people know how my affinity for that movie, and people have said, "Hey,
Oh,
I
you
got
like that?
and I'm afraid of watching it and getting triggered." Like I've had emails like this, and I say, "Look, they do it in a kind of comedic, dated way. The actual scene is not graphic, and I think." And then I've heard to a person, they pull the trigger, they watch it, and they're like, "I'm very glad that you let me know because I love the movie, and it didn't have the idea that it didn't trigger anything because of the way that they shot it." So
I'm excited about Excision.
number one.
Number 1.
Maybe the eyeball thing more so than the rain.
Nah.
Oh.
Gambling,
Right.
unless there's also Rands.
No,
I got a couple.
nope, none.
We need to talk about Kevin. I got Total Eclipse, which is a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I remember seeing it on the big screen, and he's getting pegged numerous times, like very intense up close.
What was that movie?
Face as Daniel Thewlis pegs him from behind. It's a true life story about a love affair of a poet and a younger poet. But yeah, it's jarring, and watching the young DiCaprio with the extreme. It looked like pain too. I remember being upset by it. Total Eclipse.
I guess to that point, it could have had "I Love You, Philip Morris."
The old man on the plane story, and then Pee-wee. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's a fun larf until Large Marge, and I think that does fuck some people up.
Oh yeah.
Large Marge might want like a little mini trigger warning.
When you get there, tell Large Margin. He looks like this.
All right, where are we going?
Gambling.
Yeah.
Last week we gambled on the front runner for, I think, the big 3 categories of the Oscars. Reagan. Anderson gets 53. Bryan gets 40.
Sure to
46 reviews. The actual Rotten Tomatoes score is an even 20, making Bryan the winner.
Fucking left.
I'm intrigued by Excision, but for now, you will watch and enjoy Man of the Century. Oh, watch it with your kid. It's weird. It's rated R, but aside from a cluster bomb of F words, it is a very family-friendly film. If he's okay with a few bad words, which I'm guessing he is, this is a movie that is probably 80 minutes long. You can watch it with Jillian, for God's sake.
All right. I don't know why it's not coming up on IMDb.
The poster makes me want to take my own life.
Yeah. I want to never watch these again.
Poster's fine.
The poster should come with the trigger warning. This is one of the worst posters I've ever seen.
You get the email
It's a low budget movie.
You get the email from Giovanni about the commentary.
Yes. In fact, I'm assigning you the commentary.
I might have to watch the commentary. Apparently, there's a fight, an actual like fist fight in the commentary, and like there's one of the actors or the director perhaps is, like, locked out of the booth by the director. I don't know. It sounds like Melee. I want to.
That's intriguing, especially if anyone responsible for the marketing of this film gets their ass handed to them. That's enjoyable.
It didn't get the push it should have.
It's the poster guy. All right, I'm looking for a parent guide. I'll find that later. So let's go.
This poster makes me want to delete Brian's number and not talk to him again.
I'm okay with that.
All right,
Roasted.
gambling.
That's what the kids are saying now when you burn someone on like the playground. Ooh, roasted. So Atticus, every time he says like something, like he thinks he's like roasting us.
You know what? Tessa does that too. I guess it's a playground thing. You're right.
Roasted.
Yeah.
Glenn and I like just mock him and go, ooh, roasted. But he didn't roast us at all. He's like, why don't you take your butt and be quiet over there? Butt. We'll be like,
Get
roasted.
that drop.
Yeah, please mark that for me. This week, we're gambling on Beetlejuice.
That's it. Got a standing ove. Chilling got very mad at me. I don't know.
You just leave it there.
Somehow cans came up, and I didn't even. So we were talking about something that happened at the Cannes Film Festival, and then I'm like in the fridge, cleaning something, and she goes, Anderson. And I'm like, what? What are you mad about? She's like, the way you just said Cons. I'm like, did I? I didn't even realize. I guess I said Cons. But I just say it so like normally it's just part of how I say it. Like I did not hear myself say that. It's a running bit on the film.
I like this. The idea of this is an Eric Andre sketch, but they always talk about the con standing ovation, and I would love to see someone attempt to do this just in an AMC theaters, of just stand up and start clapping for 8 minutes and see if they actually ever try to remove you before you get to like the 8-minute standing ovation.
That is pretty good.
I bet they would have no idea what to do. Like, oh, sir.
Like the low, like just the minimum wage. They don't want to be there at all. They don't want to be cleaning up, and they're not getting paid nearly enough to deal with you.
And it should be a prestige movie where they don't know if like you had an emotional connection, like a movie about cancer or racism or like
like whether it's appropriate to get you out of there.
Apparently, this did get like a big standing ovation recently, but it wasn't as
it
could have been Venice. Yeah, it was Venice. Venice Film Festival gave it a stat.
You know what? I'm gonna try this with Reagan. I'm gonna live stream it.
Probably won't be alone.
Patreon.
You probably won't be alone.
Probably get a lot of handshakes.
I saw a flag today. I was in we went to pick up a table and a chair out in Huntington Beach, and we were in a trailer park, which charges $2,700 a month for the land lease, which is insane. $2,700, and that's not even for the.
Jesus, that's rent.
But one of the flags that I saw was a new one. And it says Ultra MAGA.
Ooh, it's nice.
Going for the Ultra.
Oh,
you see the new Harris.
Ultra MAGA is the character from Transformers.
Sounded very Transformer-esque. There's a new flag I'm seeing around with the Kamala, but it looks just like the Trump flags we've been seeing for the last 8 years. But just has her name. It's
blue instead, right?
She's
blue
she's
and
co-opting the Trump flag.
Well, everyone's been co-opting the American flag, which is so ironic and funny. Like they've all been co-opting, and they all stand for such different ideals, but they all use the same symbol. It's very funny. Okay, all right.
Gambling.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlegeist. Venice gave it a standing O.
That might affect my guess.
Are you ready? I have no idea. I got an idea. I got a good idea. All right, you ready?
All right, got a number.
On 3. 1, 2, 84.
77.
Anderson guessed 84. Brian guessed 77. With 40 reviews, the current Rotten Tomatoes score is 78.
Oh,
Brian,
fucking hey.
Fuck.
I didn't realize there was even a score.
You're gonna cheat so much.
It's the Adderall. He's back in the juice.
Right. That's right. I'm juicing. We got to do a drug test. Maybe I do a piss test.
Man, listen, don't say piss test. That's crude. All right, let's get out of here. We gotta
do spoiler. Spoiler.
Spoiler, yeah. Quick spoiler.
No, I'm good.
On the old,
Thank you. Oh.
Brian, you're button hooking me.
Strange darling.
Sorry, buddy. Oh, that's good. Who is this? Curtis Helms?
Yes, Curtis, he's the winner of the TV.
Oh, yeah.
The non-existent winner of the TV. Have you seen the listener art? That's great.
I've not. Going to now.
Oh, this is great. You're gonna love this. I even like how he arranged the names. There was a little bit of a controversy about how the names appeared on the poster. Like it was two like stars at the time. It was like my name's going higher, my name's going first, and so they put one name higher and one name first to accommodate their fucking divas.
To be able to be okay with yourself when you hear yourself having such objections, it's like, how do you not just stop and go, oh my God, I'm being a fucking megalomaniac? That's a bad thing. How do you not stop yourself? You know what I mean?
That's great. Thank you, Curtis. That's exactly what I was envisioning. Oh, so funny. All right, Curtis, thank you for the.
Here's how dumb I am, guys. I'm literally looking up Wuthering Heights to confirm if there are any burning buildings, because Tower and Inferno and Wuthering Heights is still the same in my head.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
Your coming of age book set in the 1800s of England probably doesn't have much in common with Tower and Inferno.
I don't know.
With Paul Newman as an architect in a burning building.
That's so great. All right. Thanks, Curtis. Fantastic work. Check it out. AndersonandBryan.com. The Split Infinitives, they are our featured artists this week. Check them out. Anderson.
Ooh, and Comedy Confessional. Comedy Confessional is coming out September 13th. It's a Friday. It's a good lineup. It's a good time. So bring your ass on down to Santa Monica.
Ooh.
Lots of easy parking. They got their liquor license so we can booze you up. And you can check that out starting at 8 p.m. on September 13th at Confess Comedy, at Confess Comedy on Instagram.
Do it. AndersonandBryan.com is where you go for the Amazon link.
Brian, let me jump in before everyone tunes out. Hundreds of Beavers will be watched by us Wednesday, September 18th. Wednesday, September 18th. Get your cocktails ready. Get your eyeballs ready. We'll be watching something that, if you have not seen Hundreds of Beavers, it's a movie that you've never seen before. That I can tell you. If you've already seen it and you like to watch it with these two guys who absolutely loved it, I will be also interested in what to love about it, and hopefully it'll make me like it a little bit more watching it with these two guys.
When's that popping off?
Wednesday, September 18th. We usually start 5:30 is check-in, and then 6 o'clock is when the movie starts.
The VIP opens at 5:30.
No, everyone gets in at 5:30. So if
That's
you're
true.
at $10
hey, welcome to
level,
all of our new members who upgraded to the $10 and up level for the live show. Now you got to watch hundreds of Beavers with us.
Yeah, and there is a way that you can watch it for free. You just gotta subscribe to something for like 7 days, and like we all do. We've all been.
Where is Beaver streaming?
I don't know. We figured it out. We'll figure it out again. We have a week and a half. I got to pee real bad. Let's go.
Sorry, mate. Wait, my notes. Goddamn, where they go? Thanks you guys for continuing to support the show. We hit our Amazon bonus again last month on the month of August. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Tap that link and buy your back to school supplies, your Halloween costumes, all that stuff. We appreciate you helping the show. There we are. Threads, Anderson and Bryan, at Anderson and Bryan on Threads, at Anderson and Bryan on TikTok, at Anderson and Bryan on Instagram, YouTube, The Film Vault Podcast, Twitter and Facebook, The Film Vault. Thank you, everyone who helps the show. Talking to you, Giovanni, you, Drake, you, Mike Cole, you, The Goose, and of course, you, Eric Gaff. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate the help. And until next time.
The crows are laughing. The crows are laughing? The crows are laughing. I love the Scarecrow movie. I got to wait over, man. No. Crows are laughing.